This episode is brought to you by
Glico Watches.
You say it's so sexy.
Bonjour, Mario.
Remember, do you ever sing that song in school? Bonjour, mes amis, bonjour.
No.
Bonjour, mes amis, Really?
I went to English school.
You went to English school?
Yeah.
But don't you have to have bilingual in Quebec?
They taught us French with geography. That's how we were learning in French in English school.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I had to go to bilingual French school.
Crazy school system.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I was just looking at the maps of people that are listening to this podcast. It is insanity.
It's
I
amazing.
can't believe. So, British Columbia just got on the map. What's up, BC?
Hello,
Alberta.
BC.
We have a lot of Seattle, Washington, Oregon, Nevada, New Mexico. Let me zoom up. I got to zoom up on the United States here. So yeah, Arizona, Minnesota, go bigger. Texas, Washington, New York, Toronto. There's the Québécois. Bonjour. Hello.
Salut les Québécois.
We have Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu.
Oh, that's sur Richelieu.
So what is it?
Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu.
C'est du Saint-Jean-sur-Richelieu. That's what he said.
Yeah.
Laval.
Yeah, that's where I'm from.
Huawei.
That's where I was born and raised.
Mom and Dad. What's up, Mom and Dad? Go day.
That's where my hood is at. Favorite town represent.
Montreal.
Yeah,
we
classic.
Have, and then we have in Quebec. No, that's the state. That's the state of Quebec.
The state, because we have states now.
Saint-Lambert de Lézion.
Oh, Saint-Lambert de Lauzon. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Ouais, hein?
Papi, Mario, papi. Oui.
Yeah, so our map's blowing up. I want to see where the furthest one is, like the most obscure one. Let's see.
It's probably in space. I would say it's in space.
Yeah, Pluto. Someone from Pluto.
There we go.
Listen to our
what was
podcast.
the expression? Men are from Mars, women are from
Venus.
So we got definitely people listening from Venus, because 90% of our following is women.
That's true. So. 90% of women from Earth and on Venus listen to us. South Africa. Look at that. South Africa just popped up.
Yeah.
In Pretoria. Can we zoom up on the street? Oh, look at that.
Did you just say Clitoria?
It's Johannesburg. Clitoria.
We got people from Clitoria listening to us.
Dude, I think we should move to Clitoria. It's warm all year long.
Humid though. Very humid.
So humid. But yeah, I wasn't emphasized on that one. And then anyway, South Africa, what do we got? New Zealand, Australia. So thank you everyone for listening to the
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we are so appreciative of it. And this is episode 3 of the Got It podcast. Pat, how are you? And how was your vacation?
I'm doing good, man. Vacation was absolutely amazing. It was so fucking beautiful, dude. So beautiful. It was hot, beautiful weather. And honestly, I'm coming back relaxed. Really relaxed. Yeah.
And the weather was good.
The weather was amazing.
Food was amazing.
Ate good. Yeah. The beaches were absolutely gorgeous.
Unbelievable. Was it an all access, not access?
All inclusive? No.
All inclusive?
No, it wasn't all inclusive. So rented 2 Airbnbs actually.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
2 Airbnbs. So if you wanted to like hang out in one and fart in the other, is that why there was 2? Or
no, exactly. No, it was actually because we wanted to be on both sides of the island.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
2. I mean, that's what happens when you are the Glico king of Canada. You can rent 2 Airbnbs. Most people we do 1, but for the Glico king, it's 2. I like that, dude. The Glico king.
The Glico king, right? There you go.
No, not the K. Not the KK. No.
Nope.
The Glico
not going
king. There. The CK.
Yeah. Yes, that's right.
You're a CK.
How about you, man? How did it go? Did you miss me?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was one of those things that I barely remembered to do this podcast. No, of course I missed you, dude.
Okay, good.
But the nice thing I get to see from you every day, whether you're here or not, is a beautiful TikTok iPhone.
Right. And it's always there.
And I'm sorry if I offend anyone listening when I say iPhone, but if you watch Patrick's videos, you know he's giving you some loving through that video. So
definitely.
No, it's
looking
been,
through your
it's
soul.
Been good. It's been cold in Minnesota still. Like, I'm looking forward to having you in studio in just a couple weeks
just
here.
A few weeks, yeah.
We're excited. So we're excited to be, and then actually then people can see us. Actually, you know what I did? I did some clips from one of our podcasts. I did some like shorts with the captions on them.
Oh yeah.
I might post those on YouTube. Some of those are
Okay.
pretty good. They're
Okay.
pretty good. But yeah, last episode we talked about anxious attachment and relationships and how we came out of our first relationships where a lot of things were fucked up.
Yeah.
And Patrick learned mistakes. I didn't. I kept on going forward, not taking care of my mental health. And
And
here we are.
that's
And
where
we
we're at.
started the last episode with me on Adderall, and Adderall's going very well.
Good. I'm happy to hear
Really
that.
I'm really liking it. It's I'm still myself, but not. Does that make sense? Like
Yeah,
I
of course
feel
it makes
like
sense.
I'm me, but I'm a better me. And here's the thing, 2 years of intense therapy working on myself, I think it was the building of the foundation of who I need to be. For so many years, I had no coping skills. In the last 2 years, I learned what coping skills are. I learned what boundaries are. I learned um, the word love,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to love myself, start to love myself. I'm not all the way there, but I'm getting there. I'm starting to date myself. And I'm learning to like me a lot. I think I'm a pretty good guy. Um, and Adderall is just helping that during the day when the thoughts are not racing so much. And and it's so amazing. The people around me, my son Dante, who is probably, one of the only people we'll use on this podcast, his name, because Dante's all over social media. I have a 22-year-old son with autism, and you know, he he's happier. I also have a 26-year-old daughter, 25-year-old, 26-year-old daughter. Um, and it's one of those things with him that he lives with us in the home and in our home, and I think he even sees the difference in me. Like he's got dad. He's got 100% dad. He doesn't have like 43.5% dad.
Depends on the day, yeah.
Um, so yeah, things are going well, dude. Things are going well. So
I'm
what do you
happy.
want to talk about on this episode of Got It?
Well, first things first, this is not an ad, okay? It's not an ad for Adderall. We're not sponsored by Pfizer or anything like that. It's just Mario.
If Pfizer would like to contact us on our email, by all means.
Please
This is
do.
not a sponsored ad. However, we would
However,
we would gladly take that
yeah,
sponsor.
we definitely do that, huh? Mario, last episode, obviously, it's like we run out of time all the time. I feel that every time I'm talking with you,
I know.
we're constantly running out of time. Everybody wants more in the comments. Everybody's coming back and saying, "Oh my god, I could have listened to that episode another 30 minutes, an hour." It just feels like we're running out of time, and sometimes our episodes they just end like really, really, you know, instantly dry. But we had an amazing episode last week, and we talked about, like you said, all those things. But we want to know more about you, man. You just said it. You didn't. You seem to say that you didn't learn anything from that relationship.
The
What
first one.
about the first one? So can
Yeah.
we know first things first? How many did you have? Because we still don't know to this day. We've only talked about one so far.
31.
Well, two. You've had 30,
36.
36.
36 relationships
Right.
in the last 20 years. That's a
Now
lot. Holy shit.
that's
That's like what?
now you're kidding, right?
No, I'm kidding. Two.
Yeah, two.
Two
So,
two
two
serious
relation.
relationships. Yeah.
So you had that first one, which was 7 years,
10 years.
10 years, which is
Mhm.
the one that cheated on you.
No, that was my high school one, dude. The high
Okay,
school one
so
cheated
that's
on
what
me.
let's go back to that. So you had that one, and then what about those two other ones, or is that one included in the two?
No. God, I don't know what math you're doing. So I had a first one in high
We want the
school. She
total.
cheated. And
Yeah.
then I had a real relationship,
Yep.
which I had my 2 children with.
Okay.
Um,
So that's two.
that's my second. And
Yeah.
then that ended in divorce. And then I had my third one, my third relationship, who I'm still together with my spouse, but I got divorced because of my issues that I had.
Right. That one's been going on for
15 years.
15 years. So we have three relationships here that we can talk about. We know the first one fucked you up. You didn't learn shit from that one.
No.
What about the second?
Second, what did I learn from that one? Nothing. Even after 10 years, learned nothing.
Okay, so now we got 10 years and another 10 years.
Yeah.
So we have 20 years of you admitting right now that you've learned absolutely nothing from those past relationships.
20 years. I would say a good 20. No, I'm going to say 20. I'm going to say 23 years. Let's go on that. 23 years of
23 years.
learning not a damn thing.
Okay. So what is that? Like, we want to know. I want to know. What is that moment when you started realizing that it was about goddamn time you learned something about your relationships to not make those same mistakes again?
When my wife left me, my spouse that I'm with now,
Okay.
when my wife left me, she was my wife then. She left me. because there was no way that she was willing to take any more of what I was putting out. I was in full on self-destruction mode of myself. Um, she tried. She told me for years to get some help, to get some mental health help. And I was not having it. I knew it all. I knew everything. There was nothing wrong with me. I was fine. I would always go back to, oh, I'm Italian.
Yeah.
Italians have a hot temper.
It was
Italians,
always like that.
it's just like, I don't need you don't talk about mental health. I've never heard any of my relatives said I got therapy or I'm going to therapy. You would never hear that.
Why not though?
They would tell you go to church. Go to church. Go light a
Really?
candle. Pray. How about you pray? Do you know how many years I prayed
How
and I
many?
still ended up in the same spot?
How many? We want to know.
Too many. My whole life. And I still ended up in the same spot. The the moment was when I walk in the door and my best friend, my love of my life was gone.
Okay. So what was said at that moment? What's that? Can we know this? Is that information we could share? How did it end? What was said? How did it happen?
Nothing. Dude, I walked in and I'm going to tell you right now, this is a trigger for me.
Okay.
This is trauma. You're heading into Traumaville right
Let's
now.
do it.
So, because this affected me to the point, and you're lucky I'm on Adderall because my anxiety would be off the rocker right now. But I came home after Dante was in school for the day, and she had. And here's what's sickening: she had her dresser and everything emptied for weeks, and I didn't even notice. She
Really?
told me that, but now, and I had no clue. That's how sick I was. I was gone.
So do you check it now? Is that like a trigger that created a new trauma? Like do you check the drawer once in a while now to make sure everything's still there?
Never,
Okay.
never, not anymore.
Not anymore. So
Um, I'm at the point now where I feel so connected with this new version of me, which is a really, really nice version. I love this version. And let's be honest here. It's not like I didn't know how to love people or treat people. When I got too comfortable with the people that were around me, I got in that comfort zone and I would love others more to get that instant gratification of satisfaction of acceptance from other people. And I stopped trying from the people that were closest to me.
right.
Um, that was one of my biggest downfalls. I would always find something else to give me a dopamine dump of something. Like when I owned the restaurant, I owned 2 restaurants in the past 10 years. And it wasn't good enough to make amazing Italian food. I had to like make food and then get on stage and sing to the whole restaurant. And I had to plan events. I had to be the center of attention at all times. It had to be all about me.
Right.
And I think I was doing all these things because I wasn't happy with me. So I would find things to have others tell me, you're amazing. And I'd be, oh, okay, well, maybe I am amazing. And I wouldn't even hear their words because I wouldn't
Mm,
believe it. So I had to
right.
find something else to make me feel like I'm amazing. That was
So
the downfall.
so you get home, the drawers are empty.
No, she's gone. There's
She's
nothing of
gone.
hers in that house.
So you get home, she's everything is gone.
Gone. I had no
Everything
clue
is
what
gone.
happened. I
What
thought
was
I thought for sure I had no clue what happened.
so what's your
And
first reflex at this point?
at that moment, shock. Like, where is she? And then my first reflex is what can I say to get her to come home? I just need
Okay.
to say something right. Don't f this one up. You have to say something right. That was unhealthy Mario. That was unhealthy me saying, I got a call. I'm going to say something and then I'll make it better.
And can I ask what those words were?
No words. There was
you
zero.
there was
I
no
didn't
words.
know. I used all the words I had for the last 20 years on people. So I had
Okay.
no other words. She was gone. And I didn't know what to do and how to fix this quick. I need to fix this really fast. That was my big thing. Because if I don't fix this within 24 hours, I'm going to die. That's what I felt, like I'm gonna die. I'm abandoned, right?
Yeah.
I felt
Yeah.
abandoned. Um, and it took about a week or so, um, to I wrote emails to her, and, I got an email back from her, and that's when the email she said, um, "Get help. Get some help for yourself. Like, you need to get mental health help. And after that, maybe we can talk or we can do so." I saw those words on that email, Pat, and the next day I was looking for therapists. The next day, after fucking 20 years of denial, I was like, I need to get help. I'm done. That's in that moment, I knew in that moment that all the years of hearing people saying that, Mario, you need to get help or you need to do something. In that moment, it was just the mirror was right in front of me. And it was like, dude, you lost the best thing you ever had in your entire life because of your fuck ups.
Yeah.
And I wasn't mad at myself for hearing that. I agreed with myself for the first time in my life. I was like, you're right. I do have to do this. And then I knew at that moment that if I had never got her back or if I had never seen her again, ever, it was me that did it. I did it. I couldn't blame anyone. It was so much easier to blame someone else when you're in those modes.
Mm.
Blame anything. I was to blame. And for the first time in my life, I was willing to take that blame and see if there was anything I could do to make it better for me.
So here's another question. Do you think that you would have reacted the same way if this was maybe the two other women that you dated?
No, absolutely not.
Right. So that's what I think we said this in episode 2, I believe, where you will change for a person, but it's a person specifically. You don't change for everybody. You'll change for
Mhm.
that one person, and basically for you, this is it. This is that moment. That's the moment you realize, if I lose this woman, like you said, hypothetically, you're gonna die. It's not the case, but that's how you're feeling at this point. So you start finding therapy, and you do. How long does that take?
Um, even when I went to therapy, the first time I went to therapy, you know, I started off the session, yeah, I'm gonna be really likable in this situation to my therapist. I told him I was Italian. Started off with that. I'm Italian. You know, I you know,
That
that
comes back very often. Yeah.
comes back so often because I was born into Italians, dude. That's what I was born into.
But did they say this too? Like, was that an excuse to get away from stuff? Like,
No, we just don't. You don't talk about it. My
okay,
mom had mental health issues growing up. When I was growing up, my mom had depression and whatnot. And back then, it was different. They sent her to some place in Thunder Bay, Ontario, and they were talking about electric shock therapy back then, dude. Like there was like, well, we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this, we'll try this. They never did it, but I think they were talking about it. But it was depression, anxious attachment, and anxiety. That's what my mom had, you know. But to be mental health, just the word itself, mental health back then was mental. Like there was something definitely wrong with your brain. And it was something you don't talk about because you don't want people thinking something's wrong with your brain, right? It would be easier to tell someone you had heart disease over having mental health issues. So, um, when I started therapy, that's what the thing was for me. It was like, oh, I'm Italian, because I didn't know. I probably thought I had some issues, but I didn't know. Why? Hey, therapist, why does it feel like I have an elephant sitting on my chest most of the days?
yeah,
You know,
it's not because
is
you're
it?
Italian.
No, it's not because I'm down. No, because I had fucking debilitating anxiety. You
Exactly.
know,
Yeah.
um, so when I started therapy, it was a long road to try to get me to those spots, to get me to those areas. And once I started understanding those areas and letting go of some of the fears of understanding my own mental health, that's when things started getting better. I'm
Okay.
always going to go to this. Our listeners are going to hear me say this a million times over. The great paradox, just when you think you know yourself, then you change. I knew that person for I knew that person for 45 years. The
Right.
person that I thought I knew. I was like, I got this figured out. And then I changed.
What about your friends? What about your entourage? Do you know any other couples who have been through therapy or who are going through therapy right now that are working on their relationships? Or are your surroundings just a bunch of other Italians saying, "Hey, I'm just Italian. This is normal." What are the people like around you? I'm curious.
Not really. Like the people around me that I knew people that were in therapy. My knee jerk was, "Oh, you're in therapy? There must be something wrong with you."
Well, I think that's everybody's reflex.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
I
100%.
think everyone needs to be in therapy.
Absolutely.
I think every couple should, one I read this book called Self-Compassion by Kristen Neff. And Self-Compassion was the one book that I actually read in my life from front to back. And I always thought, why can't I read a book? Now that I know I have ADHD, it's hard for me to read a book.
Hmm.
Audiobooks are great
Yep.
because I can, start and stop them. But um, Self-Compassion is, I think, a book that couples should get after a year in marriage. I think every couple should get that book and be able to read it because it relates to both the man and the woman and understanding themselves and who they are and learning what self-compassion is. So for me to say, even to say the self-compassion, when I was talking to people about self-compassion, you never, Pat, you never would have heard me say those kind of things 10 years ago. I'd be like, you're dumb. What are you talking about? Self-compassion, you know?
Yeah. Well, I mean, you talked about 20 years of being in relationships and not learning anything. So I definitely would agree to say that, yeah, that probably wasn't in your vocabulary.
Yeah.
You needed that wow moment, like not the wow moment, but that the awe moment, like, oh shit, this is where I'm
Well,
at.
you mean the traumatic
Yeah.
life experience? Yeah. You know, to this day, actually not to this day, on this day, I look back at everything I've been through in the last 2 years. A year and a half ago, I would have said, why me? I would have said, why me? I'm a good guy. I
Mm,
make good food. I'm a good friend. I sing well. I make people happy. People love me.
yeah.
Why me? I would have
Victim.
said that to you a year ago, a year and a
You're the,
half ago.
you're the victim.
And then now I say to you, what have I learned from everything I've been through?
Hmm.
That's what I say now. Anything that happens to me, what am I learning from this situation?
What is it teaching me? Yeah.
And um, it's a really sad thing to talk about for me. It's triggering. I don't like talking about it. I'm talking about it because you deserve it and our listeners deserve this, or else there's no point of us even doing a podcast. If we're gonna be on these things and just spin webs and be like, my life is great and I like puppies and roses and
Hmm.
everything is good in my relationship. You're so full of shit. Anyone that even people that have amazing relationships, which I only know one couple and they live in Quebec and they're your parents. Um, but you
They're
know,
not perfect.
no one's perfect.
No.
But I think it's a learning. No one teaches you how to communicate. No one teaches you how to interact with a different species, which is the woman or a man. They don't teach you these things.
Or a goat
Or a
in
goat
certain
or a
countries.
llama, like you skin for your watches. But no one teaches you the fundamentals of a relationship. They teach you, so when Sally and Jimmy fell in love, they got married and then they had kids
Hmm.
and then they died.
Hmm.
There's the story,
That's it.
right?
I think there's two types of people in this world. There's people that can admit that they have issues in their relationships, and then there are liars. That's it.
Yes. Yeah.
There's two types of people, and I think you're the first one.
Well,
Because
I
no relationship. I'm sorry, no relationship is perfect. There's none,
no.
and that people, those fairy tales that we grow up with, the movies that we watch. Sometimes I think people have a tendency to think or believe or try to convince themselves that it does exist. It doesn't exist, and I think that the strongest relationships are the ones that have been through so much shit together and have come out of it every single time. Those are the strongest ones,
Hmm.
and that's
Have you seen the movie with Tom Hanks? The man
survival.
called Otto. The man named
No,
Otto.
I've seen that though. That's one of his more recent ones. No,
Yes.
yeah,
I'm gonna say something about that movie. That movie is, first of all, an incredible movie. I don't think I've seen a movie with Tom Hanks that I don't like. Tom Hanks is an amazing actor.
great. Yeah,
Um,
we should
but
have him on the show.
We should have him on the show. We'll give him a call after this.
Yeah.
But Otto lost his wife. I can't remember how many years he was together with his wife. He was with his wife and she died. And Otto moved into this neighborhood. And basically, Otto every day had to interact with people in his life, but every day he tried to find ways to kill himself because he didn't want to be alone. He wanted to be with his wife. He didn't want to be alone anymore. He missed her that much.
Mm.
And I mean, that's what I got from. I mean, and it's then neighbors moved in and they wanted to interact with him and he was playing nice and he was talking to them and stuff. But you can see through the movie how he started to love again. And he was starting to love and remember what life was all about. And I remember watching that movie and I understanding so much on it wasn't about me wanting to kill myself because I miss someone. I was trying to leave this earth because I didn't like the person I'd become.
Right.
That was me. And going through a traumatic experience like that, knowing that I couldn't because Dante needs me and my daughter needs me and people need me in my life. I was so depressed because I couldn't even do that. So I found ways to self-destruct. I wanted to see if I could figure out ways to help myself, push myself to the point where I can try to end my life. Let me try this. And I tried everything I could. And at the end of the day, the one thing that saved me was the person that I loved the most leaving. That's what saved me.
And that's crazy, right? Because when you get to that point where you can't even realize yourself that there are people on this planet that care for you, and it doesn't even cross your mind anymore, like your thoughts are stronger than everything that's around you. That's crazy. And I think that's why mental health is so fucking important, dude. Because like
it is.
That's how we feel, right? You feel so alone. You feel so alone, and your thoughts, your own thoughts, just take over, and nothing. You can't see anything around you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And we've talked about mental health, but that's the thing. When you take your life like that, you have to realize the people that you're hurting around you too, man. Like there's so much suffering that happens after that, and if you're going through things like that, please reach out.
Yeah.
I think of my friends, dude. If one, even you, if I would find out one day that you did something like that, dude, I would hate myself because like I would much rather you call me at any time of the day and you talk to me for hours on if it's necessary. You know what I mean? Like I would much rather you call me at 3 a.m. and we talk for 2 hours straight and you can cry and I can just listen to you and be there for you. I would much rather that than to find out that something happened to you.
And you know what it is though? And I appreciate that. But you know what? When you're in those moments, you're the best actor of all. When you're in the darkest moments of your mental health and someone says, "Hey, how's it going?" I'm struggling, but I'm managing. So full of shit.
Yeah, I know.
And you don't want to say, "I'm struggling." Because for me, it goes back to that old wonderful thing I always mention.
You're Italian.
I'm Italian. I'm okay. Everything's fine. And it's funny. I would say 3 weeks before I was planning my escape from life, I started sending text messages to my friends around me. And I was asking them that, hey, if something happens to me, in my travels or something, will you be there for my family if something happens, Or telling my friends, hey, I sent a couple of text messages saying, sorry for being like such a pain a lot of the times or for this up and down, but know that I appreciate our friendship a lot. And they're like, dude, what's up? What's going on with you? Nothing. I'm just sending a message. That's it. But that was my last straw of saying, you may not see me next time you try to text me. That's where I got. That's where I got to the point.
That's fucked up. And now this is all coming from that moment in the relationship. Now, how is that relationship today? This is 2 years ago.
That's 2 years ago.
What have you learned now?
A lot.
So you've learned more about yourself in the past 2 years than the 20 before that.
Yes, but also what I learned is it's not all about me, Pat. I learned so much about her, and that's what made me learn about me. my mistakes on how I thought I had to treat my significant other by listening to her and listening to her needs. We've heard of autonomy in our lives. Everyone has their own sense of autonomy. I didn't know that once you're in a relationship, that they still have a sense of autonomy.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, I'm married. Now we are one. So
Wrong.
there's we combine everything. Bank accounts, bills,
Nope.
names,
Nope.
everything's combined. So now
Nope.
we're one. So I don't have to think about you anymore as a person because we're one.
Nope.
And that was the first thing that I learned, that she has her own life. She has her own name on her driver's license. It's her picture. It's
Mm-hmm.
not both our pictures, it's her picture. And once I started to understand that and understand what she needs and what's important to her, she will love me. Your partner will love you till the day that you die, as long as you leave them what they were brought on this earth to be. They need to grow. They need to be their own person themselves. Lesson number 1 for Mario was seeing that with a new pair of eyes and seeing that she is her own person. She has needs, but her needs were there. Like, her love language was pleasing me on however she wanted to show me that she loved me every day. And all she wanted me to be is present. Lesson number 2, I started being present. But how do you be present with someone else if you can't be present with your own self? And that's what therapy did for me. I was able to learn how to be present with me and what I need to get through life alone first. Because if you can't get through that first little challenge by yourself and understand what you need, you can bring relationship after relationship after relationship. They're all going to end the same because you don't know how to love yourself. And everyone says, love yourself, kumbaya. And I always thought it was such bullshit.
Yeah,
Until I
it
learned.
is. And plus, you have, ADHD, you have all that stuff. How do you be present with yourself when your mind is all over the place?
Yeah, well, you can't.
You
When you're
can't.
heavy, when you're not medicated, you can't,
You
obviously.
can't, exactly. So there's no point in time in the day where you can sit down with yourself and just analyze, how you're feeling, what you're going through, and be like, you know what, okay, this is how I'm feeling. I can recognize it. This is how I'm going to get out of it. You can't do that because your head is just spinning all the fucking time,
Mhm.
right? So, the fact that that's lesson number 2 for you, that's amazing. It's amazing.
And it's so funny. The one video that made me reach out to you when I was going through this was that the 3 videos, or not the 3 videos, the 3
loves, yeah.
loves. The 3 loves. The relationship that I'm in right now, that I got into 15 years ago, was my 3rd love. That was
Yeah.
my 3rd love. And you said on your video, it said the second one will be tough. It'll be full of pain, and and yeah, the second one for me was tough, but all the pain was brought in by me. Like, it was me that did it, So it wasn't
Still
really
works.
relevant, you know? Um, and then the 3rd one came from nowhere, literally came from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I was swept off my feet. And it wasn't her. It wasn't how beautiful she is, because she's so beautiful. It wasn't that beauty. I remember I was sick. I had pancreatitis and I ended up in the hospital.
Damn.
And I was in a lot of pain. And this was like 3 weeks after meeting her. And I learned, as we talked about on the last episode, how I jumped into a relationship and I was like, I love you. Let's get married. Let's go look at houses tomorrow.
Yeah.
She's like, it's our first date. So
It's a great first date idea, though.
yeah, great first date. Let's go to the open houses. But I remember I was in the hospital and I was on some pain med, which was beautiful. Oh my God, that pain med was so nice. I was in so much pain, and then they gave me the little remote control thing on my bed. So every time I felt pain, I get to push the little button. Oh, dude, what a vacation I had that 3 days in the hospital.
Again, Pfizer, this is not an ad.
Yeah, but call me. But I remember looking over, and she had brought some movies to the hospital, and she had a little lunch pack for me. And I was sitting in the bed, and she was giving me like crackers, and she was giving me fruit, and she was just sitting next to me. This person I just met 3 weeks ago. And that's the moment I fell in love with her. And that's the first time in my life I felt love. And felt it for real. Like I'm like, this is the one.
You said the key word though. In love. There's a difference between being in love and loving someone. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think a lot of
I
people
love
confuse
you,
that.
but I'm not in love with you. You know what I mean?
Ditto. Yeah.
Um, and I looked at this woman and I was like, this is the person I want to spend the rest of my life with for real. I was at that age. I was out of a marriage for, a while. And I was like, this is the person. This is my person. And then over the years, we never fought. We never anything. I mean, it was my best friend. I had friends. I had a lot of friends, but the only person I wanted to hang out with was with her. I loved hanging out with her.
So you know what's crazy about that? I love that you say that because so there's something I saw one day that you have your best friend, right? You have a best friend that probably a guy friend that you've known for
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay, so that best friend, you love someone when you go out with that best friend and they tell you something, like something crazy or something like, ole, and your first reflex is to go run out of that meeting and just go to your love best friend
Yes.
and tell him everything about it.
Yes. Absolutely.
That's fucking awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I tell her all about our conversations.
About the best friend, right? Which you would say, well, the best friend, everything that happens with the best friend stays with the best friend. But then when you meet that person that you love so much, that now becomes that best friend who you tell the stuff that you weren't supposed to tell about your
Exactly.
best friend. It's just a beautiful
How
thing.
many times have you said that? If someone says, "Hey, dude, don't tell anyone," and you're going to be like, "I won't tell anyone, but I'm going to tell this person." Like your significant, if give her a name, like if her name is like whatever, Bridget. I think we mentioned that in the past. There was one girl we pretended her name was Bridget, but to say your significant other or wife was Bridget, and your friend says, "Dude, I'm going to tell you something, but don't tell anyone." You're going to be like, "I won't tell him." Well, I'm going to tell Bridget, obviously. And then to be like, "Oh, of course. Yeah, tell Bridget," because they know that you're going to tell them no matter what,
Exactly. No matter what you say.
Yeah. So yeah, man, that's kind of the opening cursor to my issues, or not my issues, my life right now, you know. And there's a lot more. There's a lot deeper layers that contributed to relationship issues that brought me to where I am today. But that healing process is what was the funnest journey, really. The healing process.
You enjoy the process and the progress, not the destination, right?
Right? Oh my God, this is becoming like a TikTok post right now.
I'm just
Enjoy the process, not the destination. Visit us at www.clico.com for process watches today.
time fixes everything, bro. Why
Time
do you
fixes
think we
everything.
invented that? The whole movement.
Right.
Time fixes everything.
Time does fix everything, dude.
Well,
Like-
not everything. So a little disclaimer here. I know there's a lot of people that are like, no, Patrick, time doesn't fix. I understand if it's sickness, it doesn't fix everything. I'm not that stupid. Okay, I get it.
Well, I know. I disagree with you. Even sickness, time does fix. If you're sick, time will fix that's sickness. Even if you die, I mean, it's like, hey, it sucks that you died, but it fixed it.
It fixed
Time
the pain.
did fix it.
Yeah, for sure,
You know?
sure. But the whole point about it is just to understand that with time you get better, no matter what it is. Whether it's grief, whether it's friendships, loved ones, whatever. Time fixes everything, and that's the whole thing with this. And I'm just happy that you're saying this, because I'm just glad that after 20-something years, now you're just saying it. You're able to say that you've learned something, and even better than that, you're putting into practice, which is even better. Because it's one thing to say that, oh, I went to therapy, I never learned this and I learned that. But if you're not putting into practice, what the fuck is the point of therapy?
Right. My therapist told me this week, he said, I've been going twice a week for the last 2 years. And he was like, yeah, maybe we can go down to once a week. He's like, I think you're okay for once a week. And I was like,
he's just tired of hearing you talk.
He's tired of hearing my stories. But he was like, I was like, brought it back for a second. I'm like, well, what did I do? And then I'm like, wait a minute. What I did is I'm getting better.
Yeah.
I'm getting better. And if I can start doing check-ins for therapy instead of actually being there twice a week, like, wow, I must be doing something right, So that was an accomplishment in itself. Just to hear him say that, it was like, hey, maybe once a week is okay. We have things that we're working on, but I think it's a constant working on. I think, to our listeners, like, never stop working on you,
right?
But never stop working on that relationship. If you see, like, Pat said earlier, at an earlier episode. I think he said year 5 on his last marriage. That year 5 things were getting different. Is that what you said, or they were getting rough, or whatever however you put it?
Well, you just notice a change, right?
Yeah,
It's
you
just
notice
it's
a
not the
change.
same. Yeah.
But if you notice a change in your relationship, like if your warning light goes off in your dashboard and it says you're low oil, you're not gonna be like, screw that, I'll be okay.
Well, some people will.
Some people
It's
will,
probably the
yeah.
same people that fuck up their relationships too.
Exactly. But check the oil. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
there's and one thing a friend of mine told me years ago is always go on dates. I
Yeah.
forgot to date the love of my life. That was
Yeah.
I got so complacent with life that I forgot to date. You know, go to a movie, go to a movie, go for dinner, go home, bang like bunny rabbits, try some crazy shit in a bed that you never tried before, you know, be adventurous,
Yeah.
and especially in love making, like love and sex, like if it's with the person that you love, go, like hell, whatever. Anything goes as long as she's okay with it,
Consent. And
because
you
let's
too.
face it, our mind is more adventurous at times. But
Yeah.
um that's the thing. So I think there's going to be a lot more layers coming to this, but I think we're at the point with these podcasts that we want to start talking to others. And that's why we're really excited. Next week, we're going to have an incredible guest on our show. We're not going to mention who it is, but we're going to have some guests. And moving forward, we want to talk about other opinions. And it can't always be us. We're really excited to have Holly on the show, Holly Gohanalin, to get the female perspective. Because we may be talking, and Holly's going to have her own perspective as the woman perspective, and we want to hear from you. So, please, please, please send us your comments. Send us anything you want on our YouTube page comments. Can you do it on Spotify, Pat? I don't know if you can do it on Spotify.
Yep. You can.
You can?
comment
Okay.
on Spotify as well.
Comment everywhere. Follow us on Got It Podcast does not have its own social media page, but you can follow myself or Pat on our social media pages. Send us messages, whatever the hell you want.
We reserve the handle though. Just a quick disclaimer.
That's right, on Instagram,
Yeah,
right?
on Instagram we reserve the handle just so that nobody takes it.
Okay.
We just wanted to reserve it, but we're not posting on there. So just so you guys know, don't expect us to post. You can follow, but don't expect us to post on there.
And if you want to send us a comment anonymous, just send us something. We'll talk about it and we'll see what we can come up with. We all need to get through this together. It's not a tough thing to do. And it's not a tough thing. It's very tough to ask for help. Like we talked earlier, Pat, it's really, really hard to say, because especially in relationship, you don't want others to say, oh boy, did you hear so-and-so? They're not doing well.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want that. That's the last thing you want, especially guys. Guys don't
Which is so fucked up though. Cause I would rather live in a world where you hear couples say they're not doing so well and they just come back and they say, you know what? We didn't go so well, but we made it out.
Oh, God.
How much pride is there to that?
Tons. Because I feel like I need a cape on most of the time with the how I feel being a 7%er. You know what I'm talking about, 7% guy?
Of course I do. And we did mention that when I come down to record some podcasts with you, we're going to get that 7 tattooed together.
Yeah, I need a 7 on me.
I get that too.
And if you too would like to be part of the 7% crew, be sure to tell your significant other that you love them. You're there for them. However, they need to love you back.
Yeah.
And you too can start your journey on 7%.
At www.7%.
www.llamaswearwatches.com. I like the llama thing. We had comments from people about the llamas.
We did that. People loved it. They're all asking me where the hell this hotel with the llamas are.
Oh, really? I want to go to that hotel with the window where they can spit on the window.
Really nice.
Well, I want to thank everyone for being here today. Pat, once again, nice to have you back into the continental U.S. because you're in Canada.
The 51st state.
The 51st state of Canada. Good to have you back. I'm looking forward to seeing you in studio next week or in the next couple weeks, whatever.
It's coming, dude. I'm excited.
I can't wait to have you down here. I can't wait to fucking give you a normal hug.
I know.
I can't wait.
Virtual ones.
We've been all this virtual shit. I feel that I'm just ready to get to that point. And it's so funny. Pat and I have conversations like we've known each other from middle school. We have seriously conversations on, I feel like I should have a story when we were younger. But just like your soulmate and your female version that you're dating or male version, when you have a soulmate, I really believe that people are connected in ways that we can't understand. And I think that's how Pat and I came together. Um, we're just connected. The shit that I tell that guy and the things that we see each other do, don't let your mind race on that one. Uh, but just it's just a connection like two friends from school would have. And I think that's amazing.
It's funny because you can never call me without FaceTiming.
No, no, I
He's
don't like.
always calling on FaceTime.
I don't think
So
that's just me. I've had people say, "Why don't you just call me?" I like FaceTime.
yeah,
I like seeing someone. Do people most people do you get more FaceTimes or phone calls?
phone calls.
Oh, see,
Yeah,
you need to
100%.
dump those
But
people.
that no, because that's the thing. Because like I like to answer and do other things while I'm chatting on the phone. But with you, every time I'm FaceTiming, like I just feel like I have to be present, right? Because
No,
I want to be present too. So
right.
whatever I'm doing when you call, well, sorry for you. You're gonna get to see what's going on.
Right. Well, it was I mean, I don't know how you were holding your phone and taking a piss at the same time, one of those times I called you, but, that's talent in
Yeah.
itself, you know? Do you have
And
one
they
of the
say
neck
men can't
braces?
do more than one thing at a time. Psh,
Yeah.
not true, man.
Well, maybe not as well as women. Let's
That's
be
true.
honest.
Yeah, that's a
Let's be
fact.
honest.
Yeah, they yeah,
Thank
you're
you
right.
everyone for listening, and be sure to, subscribe and hit the bell. Follow is it called hit the bell? I'm trying to be hip. Hit the bell,
Hit
squeeze the bell,
yeah.
caress the bell,
Jingle the bells.
jingle stroke the subscribe button and jingle the bells, people.
There
That's
you
what we
go.
want.
That's what we want you to
But
do.
I want to thank everyone for listening, and we'll see you next week. And we're going to have some fun guests coming up in the upcoming weeks. So be sure to follow and share and do all that stuff because know that we love you and thanks for listening. Pat, love you, man.
I love you too, brother.
See ya.
Ciao.